Hello! Welcome to the Learn American English channel, where you learn naturally so you can speak naturally. In this video, we are going to listen to conversations about old and new friends. This video is divided into two parts, where the characters will talk about memories with old friends and how they met their new friends. There will be a listening comprehension quiz at the end of each scene. So, listen carefully and see if you get all of the questions right. Also, be sure to stay with us until the end of the video. We'll point out important words from the conversations, everyday slang, and the most common way to say things in English. Watch for these words and phrases in the subtitles. You'll find their meanings in the vocabulary section in the last part of the video. Are you excited? This should be fun! First, let's listen to a conversation between Isa and her mom as she reminisces her memories with her old friends. Let's see how their conversation goes, and don't forget to note the highlighted words for their meanings at the end of this video. Let's dive in.
Mom, guess what? Autumn and Quinn got into a huge fight today. It was over something silly too, like who gets to sit next to me at lunch. Can you believe that?
The good old lunchtime drama. It sounds like the schoolyard hasn't changed much. What happened next?
Well, Autumn just stormed off and Quinn was fuming. I tried to calm them down, but they were both so stubborn. It's like they're two peas in a pod, but sometimes they just clash.
That happens with friends sometimes, especially when you're close. You'll find that the closer you are, the easier it is to get under each other's skin. But it usually blows over, right?
Yeah, I hope so. They're both great, but they're like oil and water when they disagree. I'm just stuck in the middle trying to keep the peace.
Sounds like you're the glue holding them together. You know, it reminds me of my friends back in the day. We had our fair share of spats, too.
Really? I can't imagine you getting into arguments with your friends. What were they like?
Oh, we were a tight-knit bunch, just like you and your friends. There was Natalia, who was always the life of the party, and Lydia, who was the calm, sensible one. Then there was me, trying to keep everyone from losing their heads.
So, you were the peacemaker too, huh? Like mother, like daughter.
I guess so. We had our ups and downs. I remember this one time Natalia and Lydia got into a big argument over a group project. It was like watching a storm brew, and I had to step in before things got out of hand.
What did they argue about?
Oh, it was something about how to present our ideas. Lydia wanted to play it safe, while Natalia wanted to go all out with this wild, creative idea. They both dug their heels in and neither would budge.
So what did you do?
I suggested we combine both ideas. Take the creative approach but add a structured element to it. They weren't thrilled at first, but eventually they saw the light at the end of the tunnel. And we ended up with a project that got top marks.
That's smart. Maybe I should try that with Autumn and Quinn. Mix their ideas together somehow.
It might work. Sometimes all it takes is a fresh perspective. But don't be surprised if they need a little cooling off period first. Friends are like family. You love them to bits, but they can drive you up the wall sometimes.
That's so true. But I wouldn't trade them for the world, even with the drama.
Neither would I. Looking back, those friendships shaped who I am today. We might have butted heads, but we also shared some of the best times of our lives together. Late-night chats, spontaneous road trips, helping each other through tough times. Those memories are priceless.
Sounds like you had a lot of fun. Do you still keep in touch with them?
I do, but not as much as I'd like. Life gets busy and we've all gone in different directions. But when we do catch up, it's like no time has passed at all. We pick up right where we left off, like clockwork.
That's cool. I hope it's like that for me and my friends too, even when we're older.
I'm sure it will be. The bonds you're building now will last a lifetime if you nurture them. Just remember, every friendship has its rough patches, but that's what makes the good times even sweeter.
I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, Mom. You always know how to put things in perspective.
Anytime, sweetheart. Now, how about we take a break from all the drama and have some ice cream? I think we've earned it.
Ice cream sounds perfect. Let's go before we start arguing over the flavors.
Haha, I wouldn't dream of it. You can pick the flavor this time, just don't make it too wild.
Here are some listening comprehension questions to see how well you understood the conversation between Isa and her mom. Why did Autumn and Quinn fight? Autumn and Quinn fought over who would sit next to Isa at lunch. What did Isa's mom suggest to solve the argument? Isa's mom suggested mixing both friends' ideas together. What treat did Isa and her mom decide to have after their talk? Isa and her mom decided to have ice cream after their talk. So, did you get all the questions correct? Let us know in the comments section. Now, let's listen to a conversation between Ian and his dad as they talk about the new friends that Ian met during his camping. Let's see how their conversation goes, and don't forget to note the highlighted words for their meanings at the end of this video. Let's begin.
So, how was the camping trip, buddy? You seemed pretty excited before you left.
It was awesome, Dad. I met some really cool people there. You know how they say, birds of a feather flock together. Well, that was us for sure.
That's great to hear. So tell me more about these new friends. How did you all meet?
Well, on the first day, I was feeling a bit like a fish out of water. I didn't know anyone, and everyone seemed to have their own groups already, but then, during the first activity, we had this team challenge. I ended up in a group with this guy, Ethan. At first, we were just trying to win the game, but then we started chatting, and it was like we had known each other forever.
That's how the best friendships start sometimes. You just click with someone and everything else falls into place. What was Ethan like?
He's really laid back, but in a good way. You know how some people just go with the flow? That's Ethan. He's into rock climbing and knows so much about different kinds of gear. We ended up talking about everything from sports to music. Turns out we both loved the same band. It was like we were on the same wavelength from the start.
Sounds like you two hit it off right away. What about the others? Did you meet anyone else who made the trip memorable?
Yeah, there was Lily too. She's hilarious, always cracking jokes. We met during the campfire on the first night. She started telling these stories that had everyone in stitches. It didn't take long before everyone was crowding around her, laughing like we'd known each other for years.
It's amazing how a few laughs can break the ice and bring people together. It sounds like you guys were two peas in a pod.
Totally. And then there was this other guy, Jordan. We actually met while hiking. He's really into photography, so we started talking when I saw him taking pictures of the scenery. I asked him about his camera, and before we knew it, we were hiking buddies. He's got a great eye for things. He was pointing out stuff in nature I would have missed if I was on my own.
It's good to have someone who sees the world differently. You learn so much more that way. Did you all stick together for most of the trip?
Pretty much. By the second day, it felt like we were a little crew. We did most of the activities together, and during free time, we'd just hang out, share snacks, and talk. At one point, Ethan suggested we all go on a night hike, and that was probably the highlight of the trip. Just the four of us under the stars talking about life. It felt like we were miles away from everything else. No worries, no stress, just good company.
That sounds incredible. It's rare to find people you connect with like that. They say a friend in need is a friend indeed, but sometimes the best friendships start when you're just having fun together.
Exactly. And it wasn't just the big moments either. Even the small things like sharing stories by the fire or making s'mores together brought us closer. It was like we all understood each other without having to say too much.
You know, it reminds me of when I used to go camping with my friends. We'd meet new people, and sometimes those connections would last a lifetime. It's like building your own little family out there in the wild.
I can see that now. It's funny. I went there thinking it'd just be a cool trip, but I came back with some great memories and even better friends. I guess it's true what they say. The more the merrier.
That's right, and who knows? Maybe you'll keep in touch with these friends and have more adventures together. It's always good to have people who share your interests and who you can count on.
Definitely. We've already talked about meeting up again. Maybe for another camping trip or something. I think this is the start of something really good, Dad.
I'm glad to hear that, Ian. It sounds like you had a blast and met some really great people. Sometimes all it takes is putting yourself out there and you end up with more than you ever expected.
Yeah, I'm really glad I went. Thanks for encouraging me, Dad. I think I've found some lifelong friends.
That's the best part of experiences like this. You never know what or who you're going to find. Just remember to keep those connections strong, even after the trip.
I will, Dad, I will.
Before we review the key vocabulary from these conversations, here are some listening comprehension questions to see how well you understood the conversation between Ian and his dad. How did Ian meet Ethan? Ian met Ethan during a team challenge on the first day of the camping trip. What was the highlight of the trip for Ian and his friends? The highlight of the trip was the night hike they went on together. What did Ian and Jordan talk about when they met? Ian and Jordan talked about photography when they met during a hike. So, how many questions did you get right? Let us know in the comments section. Now let's review the vocabulary from these conversations. First, we'll review some of the natural-sounding everyday phrases used by native English speakers. Watch the video again after you study the vocabulary words to learn them even better, and subscribe to see our other videos. Peas in a pod. Two people who are very similar in interests, appearance, or behavior. Oil and water. Describes two people or things that are very different and do not mix well. Dug their heels in. Refusing to change one's position or opinion, often in a stubborn way. Fish out of water. A person who feels uncomfortable or out of place in a particular situation. On the same wavelength. To think in a similar way as someone else. Now, let's review other key vocabulary. Silly, not serious or important, foolish, stormed off, left quickly and angrily, fuming, very angry, furious, budge, to change your opinion or position slightly, spontaneous, happening without planning, sudden. Were the conversations relatable? Try using these conversations with your family and friends. Thank you for watching the Learn American English channel, where you learn naturally so you can speak naturally. Please click the like button and subscribe to our channel to see more videos like this one.